highlights for the group, and then I'll introduce you and we can get it started.
Okay.
Ready. And alrighty, so thank you so much for being on here with me. Before I dive in and tell you guys all about my amazing guest, because you guys will never believe how I know this guy. Like, you will never believe it. And I'm so excited to share with you our story, I guess is what we want to call it. But welcome to Happy Hour with Heyyy.
Alrighty, so thank you.
And y'all know what we do with this thing. Every time we're going to start this lighthearted because we make this a conversation. I know one time I used to always say, this is a safe space for HR talk, but I stopped saying that because it literally is the World Wide Web and anybody can take a peek at this thing. So I guess it's not so safe, but I try to make it as safe as possible because I want you guys to feel like you're talking to your girlfriend, you're talking to your homegirl, somebody that can relate with you, your coworker, your work bestie, what have you. So we try to make this relaxed. Tonight, I just went for some 19 Crimes, red wine, and this is what's going to help me make it through the night. As soon as my guest gets on, he's going to tell you all about his amazing drink. I'm not sure what that is yet. But before we dive into all of us kind of hitting them with all our amazing questions about talent, acquisition, recruiting, and starting your career in human resources, I want to remind you guys of a few things. So the first thing is that if you're like, Tamika, I'm lost. I never know when you're going live. Like, you really confused me with that. Can you give me a schedule? Then get on my email list. I send the calendar out on a monthly basis. And if you're on YouTube or even my email list, a lot of times I will ask you guys what you want me to discuss. So you get a voting option in there. The only reason I don't do it all the time is because your girl just be forgetting. Nothing and that I'm intentionally doing. But that comes out every time. So we're gonna have our guest today. Next week, we're gonna do just a random Q&A. You can ask me whatever you like. So that's gonna be next week, same day on a Thursday at 7 p.m. And these emails that you guys get, because my email list is totally growing. I'm so happy to have you all there as well. Feel free to share these emails around, because remember, when we do the free resume reviews, that's how folks can get an opportunity to get their resume reviewed, is by being on that email list. So please, we're going to kill the crabs in a bucket mentality around here, and we're going to share. So make sure you share those emails out with folks. It should be a link in the bottom of the email each time that tells them, hey, click here so that you can join the email list, and then you don't have to keep sharing it with them every single time. And so another update that I wanted to just remind you guys of is I did some updates on that website, and I have a blog there, and it's just tons more. I feel more proud of my website the way it is now. So go check it out. There's some freebies there. There's some blogs that gives you way more information that my YouTube channel doesn't give you, that my email doesn't give you. I'm trying to make sure that you guys can get this information everywhere. So check out www.heyyhr.com. And if y'all have questions and me and Dee get too comfortable in our conversation, then it would really stand out to us if you guys just put purple hearts in the chat. And when we see those purple hearts, we know to kind of glue our eyes there, because y'all know I always tell y'all that this is a one-woman show back here. And so that kind of helps me see what's going on, and I don't get so confused, like, oh, did I miss a question? And it doesn't take me so long to go back through the questions and all of that stuff. So without further ado, I want to make sure to introduce to you no other than Demetrius Russell. Hello, Demetrius. How are you?
Hey, listen, I am outstanding. I cannot tell you for asking. And also, thank you for having me on here today. I'm so freaking excited. You have no clue. You have no clue. You have no clue.
I love it. Listen, y'all, you guys have seen in the emails, I'm pretty sure on LinkedIn, you poked into his profile. And so I am going to try my hardest not to call him Big D, because I know Big D because way long time ago. yeah, right. It was that long ago. But when I first started my YouTube channel and I would go live, it's a blessing to see how many of you guys are on here, especially when I get off the lives and like YouTube would give me a quick summary. And it's just amazing to see that lives will reach up to 100 folks, 80 folks at a time. But when I met Big D, Demetrius Russell, I used to literally have like 3 and 5 folks. And Demetrius was one of those folks. And as we would have these HR conversations, because back then I just get live and we just talk about all things HR. And all of those videos are still on my channel. He would definitely feed in, and we would help each other fill in the holes on things that I may have forgotten, or he would just kind of confirm what I'm saying, that type of thing. And as time has grown now, he gets into the chat with our live resume reviews, and he give you guys a bunch of tips as well. And so many of you probably familiar with him, but his name on YouTube is Big D. So that's why I keep wanting to call him Big D.
Too funny. You are too funny. Yeah, and actually, how I found you, Tamika, was last year. I had decided early last year that I was going to start prepping for the PHR exam.
Yeah.
So I went out there and I looked on YouTube, and I just typed it. I don't know, PHR study or something like that. But I saw you, and I was like, "What? Who is this? Let me see what she's about. Let me see what she's talking about." So I clicked on the video, and I thought, "Hey, I like this. I like what you were saying. I like the connectivity." And I remember you had very, very, very few at that time subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I'm going to subscribe to you. And I just started commenting on some of your videos, and you start immediately replying back to them, to my comments. And I thought, man, she's pretty cool. So I just wanted to kind of follow you and support you. And I have absolutely seen how your subscribers have just like shot through the roof in a year. And I'm like, you know what? If I have the opportunity to support somebody, I'm going to do it as best I can. So here we are today, and I'm like super appreciative. You have absolutely no clue. And I hope you are recording this one, because this is going to be one for the ages. I promise.
I know that's right. I thank you so much for that support, though. Like, real talk. Because you were truly back there. I don't even think when you came along, I don't even think I had like 500 subs at that time, or even 300 at that time. Like, it was quite some time ago. And you showing up and not just putting any random comments. And not that I have a problem when people put random comments, not that I have a problem when they ask me questions that they just feel like they want to jump to. Even when I notice that it's a question I said the answer in the video, but it's still a comment. Like, many people would think like you get annoyed with those, and I don't. I try my hardest not to. You might get a later reply, but I'm not annoyed with it. And what I liked about you is that you would give the most detailed like comments. Because I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I had a video where I was talking about how you can get your SHRM certification and HRCI certification paid for. And during my recording, my daughter called and I had her on speaker, and she was saying, "Hey, mama, I need $5."
Hilarious. And I was like, oh my God, this is real. This is as real as it gets. I loved it.
Oh my gosh, she was so upset that I put that in there. But I was like, see, y'all, this is why y'all need to keep track of your coins and let these companies pay for the certification, because y'all gonna be right here asking people for $5.
Too funny.
So let's say hi to the folks in the chat before we dive into our conversation. Hello, April Steed. That is my girl, y'all. Now, April didn't do my hair today, but when, like all my pictures on my websites and stuff, and when I look amazing and it's not braids, it's usually April Steed that does my hair. I love her to pieces. Kiki, highly favored. Hello, good evening, Miss Highly Favored. Now, I am so sorry because I do have my drink, and I tried to guard my mouth. I feel like the Lord knows me, so I'm really guarding it for YouTube because I want to make sure that all of my videos are monetized. But if I miss and say the wrong word, Miss Highly Favored, you let me know that I need to get myself together, and I get you. Hello, Lillian. Hey, DJ, so good to see you back again. ES, look at you coming back. I love it, love it, love it. Hello, Court from Boston. Oh my gosh, Boston. Because, I'm from Charleston. I guess that's how y'all say it in Boston. And Jennifer, thank you so much for that email. Like, I appreciate it. Y'all say that y'all leave me the nicest emails and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I think they like me. So I'm so happy I was able to help you. So happy to see that you were having some growth there. And I'm pretty sure I replied to that email. If I didn't, I promise you I'll get to it. I usually reply to emails like once or twice per week. So it's a one-man show, one-woman show back here. So I get to it as soon as I get to it. Hey, Mo, so happy to see you. And yeah, I know you're probably strapped for time because I know that Sir is going to have a webinar tonight. I'm hoping to catch the end part of it. So thank you for coming in. Hello, Gloria Nana. So nice to see you as well. Birmingham in the house. Hello, Renata Brooks. Birmingham, honey. I love it. Oh, Southern Birmingham. I always like watching Catherine Manning. She has a YouTube channel. She's in Birmingham. Oh, thank you. Then you said, bless your heart. You know I'm about to make a mess. All right. So, Dee, listen, I know that right now you're working as the manager of talent acquisition. And so kind of give me an idea in my group here. Give us an idea of what that entails. Like just overall, kind of what is your job duties? What are you responsible for? Like the number of people, maybe what you guys are doing, that type of thing.
Okay. So let me tell you, I am the manager of talent acquisition, like you said. So I work for a hospitality company. And our hospitality company is called Humanist Hospitality, right there. I've been there for 1 year today. 1 year.
Wow, congrats. I remember we celebrated that.
So we have, even better news I'm going to talk about here shortly. But I have, we have 43, 44 hotels in 8 southern states. So my responsibility is to help keep the our home office staff with vice general managers at our property level, anybody at our home office that work in a home office, and people salaried partners throughout our organization. So as far as I help interview, I do screening, make recommendations, I set up interviews. Do a whole bunch of stuff like that. A bunch of talk. That's what I do. I'll give you a perfect example. One of the regional vice presidents, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, one of his properties, that particular GM was like super stressed. She was burnout. She needed some people." And so I went into our applicant tracking system and I sent him a screenshot of, she had 218 applicants that she had yet to contact. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's hard. She needs help. So problem. All the applicants. Anyway, long and short, in 3 days, I had 28 interviews scheduled at her property. I went over there yesterday. I interviewed all these people. Not 20, 28 didn't show up, of course, but I hired 4 people right on the spot to fill some roles that she had open. And I feel like this for my role, whenever they say to me, "Hey, we need some help," I liken that to somebody hurting themselves and calling 911. At that point in time, get out of the way. Don't tell the paramedic what you want, how you want it, and everything like that. I'm taking over at that point in time and actually doing the job that they're supposed to do. So I don't know. I get kind of, when I have managers, hiring managers or general managers at these properties or in our organization that get lazy, that's when I kind of turn up the heat and say, "Hey, here's the way that you can do it. Here's the way that you can do it better." So I do a lot of advising, a lot of consulting and things like that. But I'm only going to be at my company for 2 more weeks and I'm out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, let me tell you this, okay?
I'm guessing this is a congratulations in order, but I'm ready to listen.
Listen to this. Listen to this, okay? This is important. This is very important. So anybody out there that is listening to this, I'm going to tell you now, Jamaica, you asked me some questions. I am a huge proponent of network.
Yes.
Okay. If your audience is wanting to get from A to B to Z, network. Okay. Need an example of what I'm talking about. The job that I'm currently in, 1 year today, one of my coworkers reached out to me when I was at my last job. She reached out to me on June 8th, 2021. How I remember this, I just had total knee replacement. My wife said I was high as a kite in the recovery room. I happened to look at my phone, had a message on LinkedIn, and it was one of my coworkers, and Long or short, she asked me, was I interested? And I said, I'm not interested in recruiting. I'm tired of it. I'm burnt out. I'm over recruiting, over talent acquisition. She said, well, I want to talk to you. My vice president wants to talk to you. This, that. So long or short, that was a job. They doing that job for another 2 weeks. Okay. So let's fast forward to about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago now, I am very, very, very active on LinkedIn. Look me up, Demetrius Russell. And I think that somebody just sent me a message, a connection request. I will connect with everybody that sends me a message, a connection request. So here's the story. About 2 weeks ago, matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, yesterday or day before, 2 weeks ago, girl reaches out to me that I knew. I knew her.
Oh, D, I'm worried about your Wi-Fi.
It's pretty small. She graduated. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Demetrius, my Wi-Fi is really, it was just kind of doing it sporadically before. Now it waits until we get to the good part. You know, like when we're watching a movie and then the good part coming in, and then they're like, now it's a commercial. And you're like, no, I want to see this, you know? So, so she contacted 2 weeks ago.
She contacted me and she reached out. She said, hey, Demetrius. And when I saw her, I was like, oh, this is what I first thought. When she sent me a connection request, I said, this is somebody that I know. Maybe she's trying to build her network. We all do that. Okay. Yeah. So I thought I'm going to accept her connection request because I know her. I mean, why not? I'll connect with you. You know, if I can help you, you can help me, blah, blah, blah. So, so she immediately sends me a message and says, hey, Demetrius, I was just wondering if you're looking for a job. And I was like, no, I said, I'm not. I was not looking for a job. I was not applying for a job. I was, in fact, I'm happy at my job. There are some things I wish I had, but I know that I'm learning. So I was happy doing that. Kind of burn out on the whole talent acquisition recruiting. You know, I'm kind of over that. Have been doing it for the last 6 years. Kind of over it. So she said, well, we're looking for a leader for our HR department at our company. What? And I would really, I said, this is what I said for conversation. I'll come and listen. She said, I want to introduce you to our COO. I said, no problem whatsoever. So she got my email address. She sent me an email. She introduced me to her COO. She said, hey, COO, this is Demetrius. Demetrius is the COO, blase. And we decided that we were going to meet 2 weeks ago today, downtown Chattanooga, just right across the street from where I was working. So I said, hey, how there? We go in there, and let me tell you something. This conversation, we had a group interview, and I stopped her in her tracks, and I said, this is not an interview. I said, this is a conversation. This is two people getting to know each other. And that's exactly how I presented it. We're just getting to know each other. After it was over, we talked. It was just great. And when I tell you it was a great conversation, a great meeting, it was great. So when we get back to her, thanking her for her time, she said, hey, I would like for you to meet a couple other people in our organization, a couple of the leaders in our organization. I said, okay, no problem. She said that, their schedules are kind of whack right now, so it may be, a couple weeks or whatever. So last week she reached out. She said, hey, can you come and see us on Monday, which was 4 days ago? Can you come and see us on Monday at 10 o'clock? And I was like, absolutely, no problem. I go up there on Monday, 10 o'clock. Once again, had a great meeting with her. She's the COO, had a great meeting. He was, the president was involved in the meeting, as well as the chief commercial officer. So we had a great meeting. Tamika, I promise you, within about 7 minutes, the president was even talking about making me an offer. I'm calm. I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, okay. Once again, we're not interviewing. We're having a conversation. So we keep talking. They leave. Some more people come in. which is one of the girls that initially reached out to me, walked around the whole office, introducing people, meeting people, came back, they asked me some questions and all this. The COO, even about 10 minutes into the conversation with the chief commercial officer and the president of the company said, Demetrius, this is just a formality. I just wanted to bring you in to meet them, because,
Yeah.
So here, let me fast forward to the good part. It was just me and her. And she said, listen, I want you to come and work for us. I said, I'd like to come to work for you. And, we kept talking. She said, I want to, and I'll tell you this in a sec. She said, I was thinking of this being your title, this your role. I was like, okay. And she said, I'm thinking of a salary. She said, I don't want to insult you or whatever, because, I'm not, you don't know what I'm making. But and I told her, I said, when you before you say that, my expectation is, I know you well enough from the meetings. I want fair and I want equitable. So I don't. I mean, in other words, don't come at me with dirt. That's not. I'm not going to have that.
Yeah.
She said, okay. She told me an idea or whatever. So okay. So I was like, okay. She said, I'm going to send you an. Like, okay, as long as it's fair and equitable, you can just card my nameplate and I'm good to go. I go back to my office. About an hour and a half later, I reach out to her and I say, hey, am I going to get this offer in email or how? Next thing you know, she sends me an email. Here you go. I want to tell you this. A couple things. The job never was advertised. Never advertised. The job, there was no job description, no job title or anything like that. Okay. She told me that when she was interviewing for her CTO, Chief Technology Officer, she interviewed 40 candidates. She said, for this HR position, she said, I've only interviewed one person, and that was me. Here's the thing about that. The title that I will be going into when I come back from Las Vegas and start this new job on September 12th is Vice President of Talent and Culture. The salary comes with a 10% bonus every year. The salary is 68% more than what I'm currently making. And let me tell you, I'm still like, is this real? Is this real?
Very real.
And ever since I've been, all day I've been.
I just literally have to say congratulations. Like, I totally remember us congratulating this position. I totally remember how you were working on that certification, because back then it was so much less people. Like, we literally had conversations in the chat and it would be like just the three of us or just the two of us, And so I'm just so proud of seeing you pushing through, because you hit on quite a few things during that time, right? You have really shown so many different things throughout your conversation. So everybody's in the chat saying congratulations. I knew it was in order, but I had no idea at a 68% increase in order. And I'm so happy for you with that. But a few things you hit on was like, you said, during your talent acquisition time, you're kind of over it. You've done it for 6 years. And that the biggest thing was that you were kind of getting burnt out, right? And I think a lot of what was leading into your burnout is you mentioned how hiring managers are saying they need help, but they're not going through these applications. So there's so many times that folks will get confused because they're thinking, well, I applied 2 weeks ago, I should hear something. And sometimes it's literally just not us who's waiting. It's truly the hiring manager or waiting on a budget approval. There's just so many factors of what we're waiting on and waiting on calendars to be open for different reasons. And it gets pretty crazy. And so that does contribute to our talent acquisition burnout, particularly when you're not with an organization that really supports your expertise, that really supports saying, hey, what can we do to make it a little bit easier for you? And one thing would be, hey, get these managers to truly go through these applicants. If they don't have help, I can help them. If they don't know how to use the system, I can help them with the system, because you mentioned the applicant tracking system. Just like a lot of times these applicants aren't used to neither are the hiring managers. I literally do an intake and then I teach them, kind of an overview of how to go through that applicant tracking system. And now the best thing I love that you talked about was building your network. That's huge, because now it became a conversation and not an interview.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey,
sorry.
Listen. I want to say, no, because I'm looking at the comments. I have my phone right here, and court Court says, what a blessing. What a blessing. God is so good. Let me tell you, I cannot take credit for that. That is God. That is not Demetrius Russell. No matter how great I want to think I am, that is not me. That's not me. And my prayer has been all along that I be humble enough and not be afraid enough to say, that's all God. That's not me. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that obedience is what has been the result of that, because I hate to go off. Just give me 10 seconds. The Bible talks about how God will bless us exceedingly and abundantly, way past what we can even think.
Come on now. It's so true. It's so true.
I didn't think this. I'm telling you, my prayers every day are about protecting my children and my grandchildren, allowing me the wisdom to get through the day. I never think about or pray about this kind of thing, but God knows us, and
He does.
I'm gonna leave that right there. But yeah, so and the thing about what you were saying about talent acquisition is so true. My thing
Listen,
is,
you say you're gonna leave that right there, but the chat's still going. They want to hear all about the Lord, and I'm right with them. We know that man is a miraculous man. We know he's the Alpha and the Omega, honey. We know that. We think we have the end in mind. We don't.
Listen, everybody will tell you. The Bible says that God is the Alpha and the Omega. Now we got to remember, if he's the beginning and the end, it is logical he all in the middle. We in the middle, okay?
But we just can't forget. We just can't forget now, D. We can't forget that faith without work is dead. And you've put in the work. His faith is already there. I think some folks forget to put in the work. You got to put in the work. You can't just say, I know God coming in. And then you'd be like, well, how many jobs you applied to? 2? Well, at 2 in the last 6 months. Or hey, how many people have you got to know in your network? Because that's huge. That's really grown my career as well. And people will be like, well, I really don't like really talking to people. I really have a hard time getting to know people. Honey, you got to do some type of work. I'm not saying that's all to it, but you've obviously put that work in, and the faith was already there. And I'm happy for you. I think we all sometimes need a testimony and need a reminder that we're not in this thing alone.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, here's the thing.
And now the devil trying to make you stop talking.
You have to know that God is in control. Hey, are we good? God is in control, but not only is God in control of who's in control. So, come on, let's listen.
You know how we do it. Mama be in the church.
We all have a purpose. We all have a purpose. And all we have to do is yield to God's authority, whether it be in HR, whatever the position is. God knows. He's preparing us. One of my favorite gospel songs. It says that God is preparing us for something we're not ready for right now. So everybody out there that's trying to get that HR job, trying to get into HR job, or trying to get into HR, or trying to advance in HR, learn where you are. And don't worry about the middleman, your employer. Work as though you're working for God, because he's the ultimate promoter. He's the one that's going to promote you into that. I'm a testimony. That's happened to me this week. You know what I mean?
Literally this week. Literally.
Yeah. So as far as putting in the work, it's about being patient. It'll happen. It's going to happen. Listen. I have, my wife used to tell me all the time, honey, this is where you ought to be. You're underpaid, you're underappreciated. But I was like, hey, listen, God's got this. It'll happen. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all. And I understand that there quite possibly maybe some people on the call that are non-believers and don't have faith. That's between you and God. I mean, I get that. It's okay between you and God. But it's my relationship. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just great to know. And another thing, being in a position to make changes and
We losing you, D. We losing you.
take,
I'm not sure what's going on.
for instance, this. Uh-oh. We okay? Can you hear me?
Okay. Now we can.
You ready? Okay. So
Mhm.
so the day that I was talking to the very first lady 2 Thursdays ago, one of my buddy's sons, he graduated from college back in May. He had applied for this company that I'm going to work for about a month and a half ago. And when I went in and had that meeting with her, he had just gotten offered a job, and there had been 5 or 6 week gap in between the time that he had interviewed to the time that he had gotten an offer. I told her, I sit right across from her. I said, yeah, your method of hiring is flawed. She said, what do you mean? I said, a buddy of mine just got offered a job there, but he applied back in, a month and a half ago. I said, no applicant should have to wait a month and a half in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
In August of 2022, to hear many jobs out there, too many people looking for jobs, too many options that people have for people in recruiting, hiring, talent acquisition, or what have you, to drag their feet and offering jobs. One of the questions that you asked me is, what is the most challenging part about talent acquisition? And I think that it is definitely people in position that are dragging their feet, lack of communication. I like to fish. I don't always catch, but I like to fish. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, when I get a fish on my hook, I like to reel. I like to keep the pressure on. I want to know that that fish is there. I think of applicants in a loosely kind of way. When I get them on the hook, I want to keep them on the hook. I want to keep them engaged. I want to talk to them. And perfect example of this, my company right now, we are looking for a vice president of sales and marketing. My COO, he told me, he said that he wanted to reach out to a search firm because of, I said, before we do that, don't do that. Let's see what we have in the market. Ended up getting a lady from Florida, and I put her through, she's probably 5 interviews, but this is a vice president position. So she understands that this is a different type of process. Long and short, everybody liked her. They said, get her here. We need to get her here. So I booked her flight. She flew in here on Monday night. I picked her up at the airport, took her to like one of our best properties in the city of Chattanooga. I told her, I said, listen, I'm going to be here tomorrow morning at XYZ time to pick you up. Went and picked her up, brought her to our home office, gave her a tour. She met with our owner and all this. And after it was over, I took her to eat lunch. And then we drove and we talked and talked and talked and talked. I gave her the personal touch because not only am I trying to convince, I'm trying to sell her about who we are as a company, and then took her to the airport and all that. And we've been in communication. I know that we are going to offer her a job. I just hope that we have enough in our pockets to give her what she's looking for. But even if this doesn't turn out good for her as far as the job, she can't walk away and say, I did not get treated like we went above and beyond for her. But that's what I do. I want to do that for our candidates to show them, first of all, we're a hospitality company. We're supposed to be hospitable. We're supposed to show hospitality. And that's what we do. So definite communication. And I'm constant with communication because internally and externally, because like I said, it's a competitive market. It's a very competitive world, and I want to make sure that we have the best of the best to come to work for us.
Yeah. Well, and again, you hit on so many things, and it's just so refreshing when I'm talking to someone that does what I do every day. Because I mean, truly, folks, let's go back to where you talked about just salary expectations, and you were saying like, hey, I know I don't want you to kind of give me like the bottom of the barrel type of thing, right? And I don't think that people understand when people say, well, what's Tamika, what is that amount? It's what's comfortable for you. Not if you know how much you need to keep the lights on, how much you need to keep the roof over your head, how much you need to feed the folks in your house, how much you need for basic living. Now that's your budget of your minimum. But you know how much you need for that fancy vacation. If you really want to cushion that savings account, if you really wanted to do something, on that bucket list, that's your maximum. And it's easy. It does not matter what that company's budget is. It matters to me what I am willing to accept. I don't care if it can be the most amazing company. I can tell you, I really love working in the tech industry. And so I thought to myself, like working at places like Microsoft and Meta and all of those places, Google and all those places would be really great. But I'm going to tell you, no lie, if they're not willing to offer me my minimum, I will let them know I can't come over. I don't care how big their name is, because one thing for sure, if that company wants you, they will find the money in that budget for your salary. Now, the second thing is, and I know you and I both have seen that a ton. If it can happen, we make it happen. But the best way that we make it happen is like you were saying, that recruiting is very much selling. People will say, well, should I start my career in HR and recruiting? I got this degree, or I did this and I did that, and I want to know if I should. You think recruiting is where I should start? Hell yeah. Because you really using a lot of your personal skills. There's your transferable skills of what you're doing every day. And you almost can look at how somebody's selling you and say, you know what, I can do that to get this candidate. Now, the only problem I have with admitting that recruiting is selling is because that's why I've never wanted to touch recruiting until just a few years ago in my career. And I will only recruit for companies I believe in. If you see me as a recruiter, a talent acquisition specialist, or doing some type of sourcing work, or anywhere in there where I'm attracting candidates, it's because what I can tell you is what I truly, truly believe. If I don't believe it, I ain't doing it. Because like you already said, the Lord is in what we're doing every single day of our lives. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure I'm right with me, because I know that what I'm doing, I'm putting according to what I know He feels is right for what I'm doing. If I have to sit here and lie to you all day long for somebody that can't get me into heaven and they ain't got a hell to kick me out of, I ain't coming forward.
Right. Hey, listen, Kite's highly favorite said, I love that. Know your worth and don't settle. And going back to the salary piece, I got a resume a few weeks ago, and it came by one of our executives. And so what I like to do is I like to give those people attention just in case they ever come back and say, hey, did you ever reach out to X, Y, and Z? So I got this resume of this young lady, and she wanted to work in HR. Okay, looked at her resume. I promise you, there were two indications of human resources on her resume. One was her desire. Yeah. One was her desire to work in HR. She said that, human resources. Second, she said something about a certification in HR. No human resources work indicated on her resume whatsoever. So I said, you know what? I'm going to reach out to her because I love talking to people about, I'm also a certified professional coach. So I like to help people get from good to great. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's free from me. So I was trying to coach her and give her some advice and everything, and told her what she needed to do, and all this. And so I said, give me an idea of what kind of salary, what would your salary range be? I promise, this young lady said $100,000. I almost laughed. I caught myself because I didn't want to.
Don't laugh at him, man. Don't laugh at him.
I caught myself, and I was like, and here's the thing.
All kind of stuff, and I'd be like, baby, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah. I'm honest. I told her, I said, there is absolutely. Yeah, I said, there's nothing on your resume that warrants a $100,000 salary. Even in the jobs that you have or had, there is nothing here that says I have $100,000 price tag. But I said, listen, this is what I want you to do. And I gave her all these resume tips, a ton of resume tips. She was thankful. She was writing it down. She was thankful. And I said, you revamp your resume. Send me another copy of your resume. I want to take a look at it and everything. And I told her, I said, in this market, there are no entry-level $100,000 a year human resource jobs. I said, now, if you were
let me know.
A direct... Hey, hello? Hello?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I told her, I said, you have to be realistic. You really have to be realistic. And I'm not telling anybody to settle for anything. I don't want to imply settle or anything like that. But if
No,
you have absolutely bare minimum HR experience and you have the opportunity to go be an HR assistant or recruiter's assistant or HR coordinator, you have to, Tamika, you said it best. You have to crawl before you walk. I mean, it's that you have to get the experience.
And the folks can't pay attention to me now because I've been doing a lot of crawling. That's why I'm walking. So when I say I go for the amount that I know I'm worth, I do. But I truly, I said to myself, Lord, I'm being tested here. But I created an email, and I should and put it in tomorrow's email so that you guys can see it. But I truly did a timeline of what my pay has been. Now, of course, I'm not going to do my current pay or my most recent pay before that. But I wanted to show people how my career started and grew. And there were times when my salary literally went down or it went up. And like, I knew at that time I still had a lot more learning to do. But I think bigger than that is, yeah, we do have to be realistic, but she may not have had the tools, right? So maybe she had watched some of these lives because there's some folks that I see on IG and I appreciate them. I appreciate the expertise, but it kills me when they be preaching this 6 figures, honey. Because I'm like, baby, where y'all going to everybody getting 6 figures? Like, just help me understand. There's going to be some folks that ain't getting 6 figures, and there's going to be some folks that's absolutely okay with that. But, you do have to be realistic to know that your experience does have to equate to that salary. So you have to do a little bit of research. That's the reason I just did that series, which the HR director one will come out on Tuesday, so that people can get a range of get an idea of what that salary range is. Now you have to decide, or if you get through all of those positions in each of those videos and you get all of those salaries and ain't none working for you, then at the end of the day, maybe HR ain't for you. But that was a good range from starting at like $40,000 on an entry level position all the way up to like almost $200,000 for like a VP position. If you don't fit into that, then you really haven't come to heart with what you need. Like, do you know what you need? You out here asking, because somewhere in there, everybody can fit. At least in the U.S., I don't know what's going on with them other countries. I'm pretty sure it's a lot less in most countries, but everybody can fit in there somewhere. And I think having a mentor, finding a YouTube channel, somebody on IG, somebody on LinkedIn that you can truly build that network with will make you not look crazy when you have absolutely no experience and asking for, a 6-figure salary. These folks going crazy in the chat, so I really want to see what they're talking about. I'm loving it.
Tamika, Tamika, take a look at the comments, and I'll pipe in. We're gonna tag team. As far as mentoring, Tamika, you're exactly right. I feel like that. I just made the comment that this is just Demetrius Russell, and this is just what he believes. Okay, this is what helps me sleep at night. If you have the ability to help somebody and you don't help them, then what does that say about who you are as an individual? You know what I mean? I'm gonna help you as much as I can. I mean, and it's simple. And the thing about resumes, we get so attached to our resumes that we don't want to let go. We don't want anybody to tell us, take this out, add this, add that.
I don't think they be liking them reviews too much sometimes. And sometimes I get the emails back and I be like, oh, since you ain't been feeling that, you ain't got to feel what I'm telling you. But I know I see 1,000 resumes, definite resume per month. So
I've told my boys from an early age, and I'll tell anybody that'll listen. If somebody is offering you advice and they have absolutely nothing to gain from your success, listen to them. Listen to what they have to say. I offer help people as far as coaching and developing and career advice or resumes, because that makes me feel good to know that I'm giving my expertise to somebody that's trying to get somewhere. But it's also an honor, I feel like, when somebody sees enough in you that they come to you and say, can I get your opinion on, or what do you think about? I look at that as an honor. That's an absolute honor.
It's an honor for sure. But I do not want to set anybody up for failure, because I've seen people go to a lot of
Right.
folks for that advice. And y'all, truly, if you don't know the answer, it is okay to say, give me a second. Let me look into that. It is absolutely,
Mhm.
please don't start making up shit out your ass just because somebody asks you a question and you want to look like an expert. You just, it's
Right.
so many times, even in my
Right.
career, that I'm like, you know what? Let me, even if I feel really good about it, sometimes I'm like, let me verify. And I do just a tad bit of research, look a few places, or reach out to a few people. Like someone was asking me about like the forms they need in India. Um, and I was certain I kind of knew what they were, but I wanted to validate that. So I spoke with my VP before I responded to that comment. I told her, I was like, this is a comment that I had on a video. I hope you don't mind me like giving you an answer. But she validated that I knew the right answer. But sometimes folks will blurt out stuff and I'm like, I mean, that just don't sound right to you. So why are you gonna tell somebody something like that? So I always think it's a great thing to give advice, but just make sure y'all know what y'all talking about before y'all just throw out the advice to folks. Because folks get excited to tell advice. And sometimes I'm like, did y'all pay attention to that source? I don't know if we should trust that. But is it Raisha Myers? Girl, you are going to get up. I just
Mhm.
told my daughter, who is in boot camp, she was just having a rough time, and she called me really in her emotions, and my heart went out to her, because this is a time in life where I feel like I can't do anything. She's my child, and I feel kind of trapped, right? And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told her, which is when the storm get at its worst, it's only getting you prepared for that rainbow. So you're in the right place, because I know D and we're not going to guide you any other direction except the right direction. And you keep on grabbing these nuggets and putting in that work. We've talked about making sure to put in the work, because the Lord has already provided the faith. He's giving you all the grace. And when he's giving you that, your time is coming. Because, you know, as much as I want to laugh, because I know we're in this chat and I'll be like, the way you said, I got tickled for a second. I still do remember times when I literally felt like I was crawling, when I felt like I could hardly make it through the day, when I felt like, is this even worth it? When I felt like nobody really understood, like there was nobody really to call, because I have to go through so much backup to tell people how I feel. Or when I talk to people who are so used to you being successful that the first thing they'll say is, well, you'll figure it out. That has became a pet peeve that I absolutely hate, because not all the time I want you to tell me I'm going to figure it out. Sometimes I just want you to say, hey, Mika, how can I help you? Or just hear me for the day. If I figure it out or not, that kind of gets redundant to hear. Sometimes I want a pity party, or I want somebody to warm my heart, or I want somebody to listen to me. I mean, one time too, I'll also say, is that I was going through some times and I wasn't really good about telling people like, hey, I need a break. But I literally found myself having a medical condition. And let me not even flower it, because I don't know why in the Black community we always want to hide stuff. I had a panic attack. And that was a highlight to someone that I thought, see me every day, talk to me every day. Like, you got to know something different about me long before I get into a panic attack. So I know that I've had those moments of feeling almost like a panic attack when I felt like I was crawling and I could not walk, and I'm waiting for my breakthrough. So your breakthrough is going to come. We're going to get you up off the floor, girl. That's what we're doing around here. No more crabs in a bucket mentality. Sorry. You know, when people say things like that, it takes me back to my days, man. I'd be like, listen, this looks nice now. Like, life looks glamorous for me, but this was a struggle. It takes some work to get there. And you always have a message when you've been through a mess. So that's why Big D got his message, y'all. He got this great promotion. Y'all, please give it up for him again in this chat and tell us, man, congratulations on this 68% increase, 10% annual bonus. Like, this is amazing. Well, he didn't even apply. Somebody reached out to him and said, hey, we have a position for you. Y'all, that's some serious, just get out there and be yourself. Be yourself. Are you answering any questions about sourcing ideas for recruiter entering into new market? Heck yeah. For example, recruiting for Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. Are you recruiting for employees or customers? Chanel. You're so welcome, Ms. Myers. I got into HR recruiting because I listened to you. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. How are you liking recruiting so far? I think that is just awesome. Yes, y'all tell them, man, congratulations. Congratulations. I love that part. I love that. I love saying congratulations. I think that we be working hard and people don't tell you congratulations. You need to just hear that sometimes. But we definitely answering questions. So her question was recruiting for Liberty Insurance and like any ideas for a recruiter entering into a new market. So if I'm going to start answering this question and you just tell me in the chat if I'm wrong. And I'm going to let Big D answer as well. But if you tell us for a second that we're wrong somewhere along the line, then we'll know. But if you're recruiting into a new market, the first thing you want to do is try to learn that industry. So it does not hurt if you can to sit in some of their like repetitive meetings with that hiring manager or that department. It does not hurt to attend events that they have if it's trainings or what have you. And you definitely want to make sure that you create a solid intake if you're ever recruiting for those roles when you start recruiting for that organization. Like if you have to Google intake forms, recruitment intake forms or whatever, but intake forms is pretty much like, you know, how much do you need for this position? Pretty much everything you'd have on that requisition form approval. But then you also want to know, like, what are your must-haves that you need from this candidate? What are some of the things you're okay with not wanting? If you can have a dream list of a candidate, what would it be? What organizations are they in? What education do they need? What past job titles may they have had? Like you want to do a very detailed intake as well as learning those positions. Talk to an employee, ask them what their day in the life is like. Go in that department and just kind of do work in that department for a day to truly understand that position. Because when you change from industry to industry, that's the first thing you need to do to be a good recruiter. Like it's going to be difficult to recruit because people are going to ask you questions you don't know. It kind of makes the process easier when you're already familiar with that position and with that industry. What tips do you have, Big D?
I'm sitting here trying to answer some text. I mean, some questions on the chat.
In the comments? All right, good.
Yeah. And I was looking, I was trying to reply to Court for it. But as far as you're asking somebody's wanting to move into an area.
She was saying that they just started in recruitment into a new industry or a new market, particularly the insurance industry.
Well, you know, here's what I always feel about recruiters. I know that I feel like you agree. You have to have this, not only as a recruiter, but as somebody that is in the professional workforce or looking for a job. I came up with an acronym of something that everybody needs that plans to be successful, and it is a CAP, a CAP. It's all about what kind of cap you wear. And that C stands for communication skills, the A stands for attitude, and the P stands for personality. You got to have it. And I feel like that as a recruiter, before you are, and I hate using sales when I think about recruiting, but let's be honest.
Oh, but that's what it is, though. That's what it is.
That's what it is. First of all,
unless you're doing literally talent acquisition, I mean, then that gets into more strategy. But recruitment is just filling bodies.
It's sales. But first and foremost, you have to believe, like you said, you have to believe in what you're selling, or you're not going to be able to sell. You have to believe in the company. You have to believe in your culture. You have to believe in everything about it. And those things have to excite you. And when you can get excited about your company, about your product, you know, of what it is your company's about, it's easy to sell. But first and foremost, you got to sell me you. Before I listen to you, you got to sell me you. If I can believe in you, I'll buy whatever you're trying to sell to me. So, God, and here's the thing.
Oh, we're losing you.
I think looking for people. Sorry, if you're trying to get people to sell insurance, I mean, look for people that are new. I mean,
well, she cleared it up. She cleared it up a little later, and she was just saying she was just looking. So I guess that's a job that she applied to. So she probably would be more beneficial if you just made it kind of general for her, because it's the same across the board that you still need all of what we've described. For any industry you're going into, you want to make sure that you're comfortable with that position, you're comfortable with that organization, and that you are okay being their salesperson, because you're going to be like the first point of contact for so many people, particularly all of their culture. Like you're going to truly help build their culture because you're targeting those folks, you're sourcing for them, you're looking for them, you're going out to events, you're creating events, you're attending events to find these folks. Now, another question that we had was I saw you replying to court about any tips for moving into HR DEI. So if you're already a generalist, like you said, I don't see it being a big pivot to go into diversity at all. I think if your organization has any diversity programs, then you definitely want to be a part of those, because as a generalist, sometimes they make it where you're required to be a part of these things, sometimes they don't. But if you have like a DEI council or you have different ERGs, then it's good to be a part of those, because I initially, before I can tell you, in 2 years, I feel it's more than enough to go into being a business partner, but I'm gonna come there next. But as far as going into DEI, I don't think it's going to be difficult to go into that after being a journalist. I think the biggest thing I want to ask you before I give you like a full deep dive is, what makes you want to go into diversity, equity, and inclusion? I just want to know, what is it? Because sometimes we think that we've been the underdog so long, we want to help out people. But when you go into diversity, you're no longer looking at your black skin, your mixed skin, your Indian skin, your Chinese skin. You're no longer looking at that. You're looking at females, you're looking at transgender, different genders, you're looking at people with cultural differences, you're looking at people with disabilities, you're looking at veterans, you're looking at those people who want to be equitable all together. So sometimes I feel like we go in it with a fogged eye because we feel like we saving our people. You got to make sure you're ready to save all the underdogs, because we ain't the only underdogs. Just tossing that out there. Another question that Lillian had was, if I think 2 years as an HR generalist is enough to go on a BP role. It is. I think what's going to help you, because all them job descriptions going to tell you need 5 and 10 years and stuff like that. I think Big D already explained earlier what will help you is building your network, getting into those HR groups on LinkedIn, getting into them on Facebook, hitting the DMs of these positions that you want to apply to for whoever's recruiting for them or the HR department, giving them a quick, short 3-liner spiel in there. Please don't give these paragraphs, y'all, and these DMs, because folks will send me pages before I get to the attached resume, and I tell you, we don't have time to read it. It's not that we don't want to, we just don't have time. We still have a stack of 50 messages there that we need to get to, 50 interviews we just don't have time. So make it something short and quick and sweet, and toss your resume into their DMs to say, hey, I'm very interested into this role. I see that you have this open. I've had a passion for it for X period of time. Please let me know if you have any opportunities. If not, I would love to connect. And that alone should get you some movement. Go into some of these HR professionals who are also kind of doing like myself and being kind of like influencers as well, and get into their comments and like their stuff, because other HR professionals are seeing it. Connect with HR professionals you absolutely don't know. Engage with their stuff, because a lot of times that's the first place we go to look for good talent. And so that just it's not a dream unfulfilled. I hate when people have told me throughout my career, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. Throughout my career, they would say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you don't have this, you don't have that. And after I got into HR, I was like, the devil is a lie, because all these people in these things and don't meet 2% of the requirements and making 50% more than me. So don't hold yourself back. This chat going crazy. Let's see, did I miss somebody else? How does your LinkedIn profile matter as a recruiter? Girl, oh my God. It depends. If you're working in the tech industry, your LinkedIn profile matters 9.5%, if not 10. If you're working in any other industry, it might not be that big of a deal, honestly. But and I feel like people are going there a lot more. LinkedIn has some amazing features, which is almost making it a complete applicant tracking system within itself. And so people aren't having to like spend money for somewhere to post jobs and an applicant tracking system. They can do it all in one. They became such a powerhouse that Big D, when we started earlier today, Big D said he lives in LinkedIn. So do I. I'm in LinkedIn way more than I'm in my email at sometimes. So LinkedIn is powerful. Lucretia Davis is an amazing LinkedIn like influencer type, but she tosses out a lot of tips, and you can just see how she navigates on LinkedIn. And that's what you want to do to kind of grow your network, or just reply on her stuff, and folks will be finding you like crazy. And so thank you so much, Steve, for replying to these comments. I keep trying to keep up. You're welcome, Lillian. I'm in healthcare management and looking to transition into HR. It has been extremely difficult. Healthcare management. So are you working in like the office or in like the clinical setting? Like, are you patient facing, or are you working in like the administrative side? Because that would help. Oh, they love you, Big D. I'm so happy. They said Lillian says tonight's session is the bomb. Great job, Tamika and Demetrius. So we appreciate it, but I think that it truly couldn't have been done without somebody who I feel is not only telling y'all what I've seen him practice for the last almost 2 years, but to see him have such a powerful testimony and always to share like such great news. And so, Demetrius, I really appreciated you being on here with me, because I think that this is long overdue and that we needed to at least meet virtually so long ago. We've been talking for almost 2 years through YouTube and through LinkedIn, because him and I chat a lot through LinkedIn too. And I'm just happy to have had you on, because you've obviously been a great help to the audience here. And now they're still going. And I love it that they're still going. Alrighty. Administration, patient facing. So are you literally like taking their temperature, wearing, the lab coat? Are you literally in the room with them, helping them with all of their ASLs? I think that's what they call them. Are you like a nursing assistant or something like that? Or are you the receptionist that take appointments, that schedule appointments, that do the administrative side? Because you just said administrative, patient facing. Which one is it? Because it got to be one out of the two. Otherwise, I don't know how to answer your question. I mean, I can answer, but it'll be long and we're about to get off. So I hate to not give you the answer you're looking for. Thank you for the advice. I'm looking to move into DUI to create a help foster belonging at work. This is a great session. I will be sure to connect with you on LinkedIn. Thank you for the offer. Yeah, Court, if you look into to really help foster belonging at work, you don't want to start with working in DEI, because you just might get to a point where you get disgruntled. You have to look for the company that is accepting of that culture and that position. A lot of times we think this company needs DEI, they need to make me the DEI person. But if they're not going to support you, your efforts are going to go like pointless, and you're going to feel like your whole job is pointless. So make sure that you're looking for a company with that type of culture already existing. So ask those questions in the interviews, like, what DI initiatives do you have? How do you make folks feel equitable? That type of thing, to see if they're open to that. And then it'll be a lot easier to transition into it, because they're probably going to be looking for you too. Diva Temple, hello Diva Temple. Been hard trying to transition from accounting to human resources. I gave up, now I'm getting back in there. This is a very inspiring. Yeah, you shouldn't give up. Accounting to HR is so easy. Accounting and HR works together so much that should be an easy pivot. I've been in accounting for 17 years and having a hard time breaking into HR. I've been told by some recruiters it's hard to break in without experience. That's not true. You just have to make your resume look like it is an HR professional. That's the first thing. The second thing is definitely grow your network so that people can stop focusing more on your resume and focus on the skills you can bring in. Please bring him back. That's what they're telling me, Big D. They're telling me bring you back. Okay, office admin registration. So if you're working in registration, you want to focus on like the type of software that you're using, the type of people that you're communicating with, how are you communicating with them? Especially if you manage in an office, you can always talk about how you're managing processes and procedures and orchestrating meetings, and like what number of files you're touching per day, how many patients are you assisting per day, how many different external partners are you using per day. Like focus on more of those things versus just what you literally do on an everyday basis, because you want to make yourself look more like HR. Look into those HR job postings. If you see anything in there that you have done and you're like, this sounds like what I've done, then you want to put that definitely in your resume, because 9 times out of 10 it's the same thing. It's a lot of overlapping skills when you work in the admin part. So y'all, I hate to rush y'all. I feel so bad because they loving you. So I feel like I'm cutting the folks off, but I'm gonna get off right? Here.
I know. Hey, Tamika, I also want to add, as I'm looking at some of the comments, that
yeah, please, because I ran through them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like designer me said that I've been in accounting for 17 years. Sometimes it's going to be hard to break in HR, but sometimes the jobs are out there. The jobs are out there. It's just, if you've been, like, for instance, if you've been in accounting for 17 years, you've got all this experience. You have 17 years of accounting experience, and you're at that salary, and now you want to go into a different career path. You're not going to necessarily get 17 years of HR pay don't have that experience, so we're going to take a step back. I just know that it's difficult, but it's not impossible. I also want to say that I have often told people that if you have a job description and you're trying to get a job, particularly an HR job, take the job description and your resume and do your level set best to make those try to match up. Try to figure out what it is that you've done in your current job that could rival that of an HR job description, because there are so many people. Listen to this. I read a statistic one time a couple of years ago, and then I tested it, that a recruiter gives on average about 7 to 8, 9 seconds per resume. So I was like, surely not. That's a lie. That's not true. That's not true. So this is what I did. I was at my job and I knew what we needed. I can't remember the job, but I remember what I knew that we needed this particular role. I knew what I was looking for. I knew what I wasn't looking for. So I said, I'm going to set a timer and I'm going to print off 10 resumes. I'm going to print off 10 resumes and not look at them and turn them upside down. And then when I get ready, I'm going to set the timer, flip them over, and I'm going to scan them. And legitimately, it took me like 80 seconds to go through those 10 resumes because I knew what I was looking for. So I was like, okay, this is a legit statistic. So one of the things I also like to say is this: I like meat. I love steak. You put a big fat ribeye in front of me and I'm going to have a field day with it. Okay. I love ribeye. Think of your resume as a ribeye. Think about if you went out to a restaurant and if you are a meat eater and you get a steak, and if they brought out a steak that had a whole bunch of fat, you would more likely probably send it back, especially if you're paying $30, $40 for a big piece of meat. You want meat. You don't want a bunch of fat that you're not going to eat. Think about your resume as a steak. Put meat on it. Put something digestible on it. Put something on your resume. Don't put a bunch of fat on your resume, because a recruiter, a hiring manager, they see through fat. They throw fat away. We don't want fat. And heaven forbid.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to tell them.
If any one of y'all out there got your picture on your resume, I'm gonna pray for you tonight. Get your picture off your resume.
Well, since working in this global organization, I'm gonna clear that up a little bit. If you're working for an American-based company, definitely take it away. This is
true. Yeah.
Now, if you in another country, then it's up to you. It's very, very
that's customary.
With my Indian and UK candidates. But in the US, the biggest reason we say that is not because we don't want to see your pretty face. It's really because you're giving away all of your protection with the EEOC. The EEOC is saying you have to absolutely in the US look at somebody's qualifications. You're supposed to be looking at to see if they meet the minimum qualifications, if they meet the education requirements. Like, you're only supposed to be looking at skills and qualifications in the US, not if they're female, if they have a head wrap, if they have, if maybe they're biracial, if it's a male, if it's a female, if they look like they're sitting in a wheelchair. Like, you're just not supposed to look at all of that. So in the US, take them damn pictures off. Y'all don't need them things. I don't know why you got them. But Big D, I really appreciate you. And we really going to have to figure out another time that we can get together and get you on here, because I definitely want to be respectful of your time. And I only scheduled Zoom for an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm nervous it's going to take us off. So I'm really that's the part I'm most nervous about, that anybody just kick us off here.
Hey, listen. Listen, my thing is this. Like I said, the world and saying, hey, I trust you enough that you're going to give solid advice. I feel to me. So anytime you want to have an idea of a topic that you want to talk about, or if we just want to have just a general discussion, because this is how I believe. Like I said, if you can help somebody, my thing is this: you never know when your encouragement, your inspiration, your words, you never know when your smile is all a person needs to get them over a hump in their life. And I am here, to you. I believe in your page. I watch your videos, and I want to help promote you as much as possible. And if that means coming on your show once or twice a month to just clap my hands and say hallelujah. If it helps you, I want to help you because, like I said before, if somebody's offering to help you and they have nothing to benefit from it, they take a good hard look and decide. So I absolutely want to do whatever I can to help you out in any kind of way. Okay.
I love it. I love it. So he's saying send him those connection requests. I'll put his LinkedIn email, his LinkedIn link in the description box. Sometimes YouTube doesn't let me put it up as soon as we get off live, but it will definitely be there for the replay, as well as in the email tomorrow that I'll send out. So jump on my email list by going to heyyhr.com. I'm connected with him. So if you're connected with me on LinkedIn, you can absolutely find him there. I tagged him in a post today, I believe. And if not, he's definitely on my page. So you can definitely find him multiple ways in LinkedIn. But I promise you, if you search Demetrius Russell, he's going to come up. And he's using the exact same picture that he has here on YouTube. So it's an easy find. And I think connecting is an amazing thing to do, y'all. So if you have the opportunity, you have a LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn, but connect with him. Y'all know I'm open to connecting. I hope I'm connected with all of y'all already. What's Jocelyn saying? I was just about to ask if we can say, yes, Jocelyn, send those requests. Absolutely must rewatch this. So with the rewatching, Shannon, I also want to say this. I need y'all the same way D has been supporting me since I had maybe 200 or 300 subscribers. Like real talk, this man will watch every video, comment every video, like every video. Like that has been that on days when I didn't feel like posting another video, when I'm still trying to learn the technology in the background, it's not working out for me. He would pop up with a comment that made me laugh, and I'm like, all right, I gotta keep pushing. And so I'm asking y'all may not have that type of passion Big D has, but if you have anything in you, do me a favor and hit that like button tonight. Share this with somebody so that somebody can be inspired. Somebody can learn something about how to get their career started. They can learn something about recruiting and talent acquisition. Definitely share. Y'all can just hit that share button and text it to somebody. DM it on Facebook, DM it on IG, DM it on LinkedIn, wherever you can. And so I just ask for y'all to help me out like Big D has and support the channel, but more so than that, help your friend, help another. Like truly help somebody. Sometimes it may be a video like this that in some cases, seriously, save a life. And there once upon a time I say people are so dramatic, but there have been times that I've known folks' lives have gotten saved from the most simple things. But Big D, I appreciate you. And I truly am gonna have to figure out another time that we can get together. My schedule's kind of all over the place right now. But as soon as I figure out my September schedule, maybe we can get you back next month. We're gonna be going live every single week next month in September, because I'll have a launch in October, and I want to make sure that I'm all the way available for you guys for that launch, where we're going to work on amazing products that I will definitely start sharing with you guys as soon as I have a few things finalized on it. But I'm going to figure out who all is going to be coming on with me. So I already have some folks picked out, and we're going to have to see if it can work with Demetrius' schedule. But the people are already talking, so I got to fit what the people are asking for. Well, thank you so much.
Also, let me say this, that for anybody that's connected, I'm connected with people on LinkedIn. If you send me a question or you want some advice or whatever, I'll answer you. I'll get to it. Just give me a little bit of time. But like I said, I mean, and remember this. Remember this about anybody that gives you advice. That advice is just, more often than not, it's just theoretical. Some of it is practical. Just take it and just think about it. And my thought is, if you ask the same question and 2 and 3 and 4 people are hitting on probably the same type of answer, listen to them. So I want to help whoever, however, except I'm not paying light bills and mortgages, and I'm not going to bail you out of jail. But if you want some advice, I'm an old man that has lived a little bit of life and made a whole bunch of mistakes with a whole bunch of zeros behind it. I'll help you out as much as possible. If you can avoid some stuff that I've done, and mistakes in my life, if I can help you, there we go. That's my thing. Yeah. I appreciate it, Tamika. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much.
Congratulations again, though. You're so welcome. Thank you for accepting the invite. But most of all, I pray nothing but success and happiness and comfort in your new endeavors. You know, you better keep me posted, right?
Girl, don't you know? Just